Okay, welcome everyone to the Manufacturers Efficiency webinar series with myself, Gina Tabasso, Rich Bello of Schooley Mitchell, and Matt Wizeman of Focal Point Coaching. As you may or may not know, if you're new to our webinar series, we basically alternate months. So one month Rich will present, the next Matt will present, then the next I'll present. So this happens to be my month to be on deck. And I'm going to do things a little bit different. I'm going to shake it up a bit because I've been on a journey lately of authenticity. And I decided to tell my manufacturing story in a way that helps manufacturers. The three of us are passionate about manufacturing. We are committed to American manufacturers growing the economy and creating jobs. That's why we're here. We're not making any money off of this webinar series. We're here to serve. And so I wanted to let you know on my journey the different ways I've found to add value and serve manufacturers. And one of those hinges on saving them money to make them money. So we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of that right now. So my origin story, where did I begin? My manufacturing journey began when I graduated from college. My first job out of college was with a manufacturer who made vibration analysis equipment for large rotating machinery to test bearing health, predictive maintenance. And they also happened to make the life support systems for Space Station Freedom. So it was an interesting first job out of college. And I kept on going through industrial, trade, distribution, manufacturing. And fast forward, I get to 2023, and I was working for a manufacturer, the director of marketing and business development, and he encouraged me to start my own consulting firm and gave me the bandwidth to do that. He also got me my second client, and that's how I got started. And you might ask about why Barracuda? That came from a manufacturer. One of my clients said to me at the end of a project, Gina, with all respect and kindness, you are a barracuda. He's like, you are fast, effective, efficient. I'm all over the place. If it wasn't for you, this project never would have gotten done. You nudge me, you remind me, you move things forward with kindness and compassion, but you're on it. You're so organized and efficient. So when I went to pick the name of my company, I agonized for like 3 weeks and made lists, and I just kept going back to Barracuda. So here I am. So that's what caused me to grow, and not just work for manufacturers in-house, but in addition, be able to serve other manufacturers. So now, not only can I serve one at a time when I'm employed by them, I can serve multiple manufacturers at the same time. And I love that. The more people I can help, the better. So here's where the origin story comes of this presentation: save money to make money. As I was going out there as a consultant, talking to manufacturers, I kept hearing the same thing over and over again. We know we need you. We know you're the best. We don't know any marketer that knows manufacturing like you do, but we don't have the budget. It's a bad economy. Last year, it was an election year. And so I had this barrier to entry, and I'm a problem solver. So I had to solve that problem. And it caused me to honestly reinvent myself. As you'll see in the next few slides, now all the different ways I can help manufacturers, because I was nudged and pushed by people telling me that they didn't have the budget. And that made me be more than just a marketer. I go into an organization holistically now with a B2B growth strategy mindset. And what kind of happened is I was going to networking meetings and seeing that everybody does the same thing, whether it's me, Matt, Rich, you, we all do process improvement. No matter what process we improve, whether it's your leadership or your HR or your billing and your vendors or your marketing, it's all a process. And I saw people shake out into two buckets: the people who save manufacturers money, like the Rich Bellos of the world, and the people who make manufacturers money, like the marketers, the salespeople, the rev ops people, the fractionals. And I realized, the light bulb went off. What if I team up or do something to save manufacturers money, to free up capital they didn't know they were losing, that they could reinvest into their business to hire the people who make them money without allocating any existing budget? Basically, how do I pay for myself? So, Matt also does process improvement. He saves people money because he helps leadership to be more effective, and he helps them to retain their talent, which saves them money if they're not having turnover and having to go through a hire process and a training process all over again. So, what did that result in? Where did I go from here? Number one, in addition to being a marketer, I have a Lean Six Sigma yellow and green belt, and I'm working on my black belt right now. My black belt project will be my 7th project that I've done, and I partner with a master black belt for process improvements and waste elimination. So, if you know Lean Six Sigma, once you see it, you can't unsee it, and you see everything through this holistic lens. And it really teaches you to be holistic, to go into an organization and not just look at your piece of the pie, your little narrow area, which for me would be marketing. It teaches me to look at sales, to look at HR, to look at the plant floor, to look at the customers and what their view of the company is, and look at M&A, look at strategic planning, because it all impacts your marketing. It's all tied together, and that's why it can't work in isolation. So Lean Six Sigma is one tool I've managed to pull out of my box to help manufacturers, and it's a powerful tool. The next thing I did, which I said, how am I going to save these manufacturers more money? I ran across a guy, I always know a guy for something, who is high up in National Utilities Refund, and he recruited me to represent them. And so basically, that's another service I can provide to manufacturers. And it says National Utilities Refund, which is a little misleading because that's where the company started out, was just with utilities. But what they do is they do audits, and they find that 80% of invoices contain errors and overcharges. Like they'll have an incorrect rate schedule or a hidden charge or an incorrect tax classification, cramming charges, charges on unused and old lines, excessive surcharges. And many companies, you just pay the bill. Like at home, you just pay your electric bill. You don't really question it. You assume the bill's accurate and correct. You assume you're not being robbed or cheated, but oftentimes they're not. So National Utilities Refund, we don't charge any upfront fee. There's no out-of-pocket expense for us to conduct an audit. The audit's free. If you don't move forward with us, you get your audit for free. There's no charge. But we usually find an error in 72% of audits that we do. And we evaluate bills like electric, natural gas, water, sewer, waste and trash, telecom, internet, cable, wireless, propane, merchant card accounts, and also freight and shipping. And so Schooley Mitchell does a few of these, but they don't do the utility audits. So that's where Rich and I have the opportunity to partner, because he can audit the things that I can't, and I can audit the things he can't. So we can be really holistic and save a manufacturer even more money together than we could separately. So how do we do it? We don't change. National Utilities Refund does not change your vendors. We don't make you jump ship and find somebody else. We just reduce your rates. We negotiate with your current vendor to reduce your rates or decrease your consumption, recapture and remove overcharges and errors with a team of auditors. And we can actually go back 3 to 4 years, depending on what state you're in, and recover funds for you from prior years, and then renegotiate everything to save you money moving forward. And to get started, it's pretty simple. You sign an agreement, provide 1 month of invoices for each utility. To qualify, you need a monthly utility spend of $8,000 because otherwise it's really not worth it. We wouldn't save you enough money to make it worth the effort. For merchant card accounts, you need a $500,000 annual spend. And for those, you need to provide 3 current account statements, and we do the rest. And we can find you savings, like Schooley can find you savings on compressed gases, electronic devices, LTL, facility supplies, packaging, shipping supplies, fuel, small packages, software as a service, uniforms, linens, office and break room supplies. I mean, you name it. So that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money on the table that you could be saving each month. But you oftentimes don't have the in-house resources. People say, oh, I've got a CFO, I've got a controller, we've got that covered. Well, they don't know what they don't know. They're not an auditor, and they're not special. They may be specialized in finance, but they're not specialized in all these things I just mentioned, and in utilities and in negotiations. So we dig deep and we do it for you. And the way that we get paid is usually once we negotiate a savings for you, you would get 50% of whatever we save you for 3 years. National Utilities refund would get 50%. That 50% doesn't go to me. I get a small piece of the pie from that 50%. So for 3 years, you get half of what we found, which is half of more than you're getting now. And then after 3 years, you get 100% of the savings from there on out. So it's an amazing program, and a lot of people don't know about it. But wait, there's more. There's always more with Gina. I call myself the wearer of many hats. So I wasn't happy with that. I wasn't happy with, I can do utility audits and save you some money. You know, first we audited a Sherwin-Williams plant just in electric, saved $30,000 a year just in their electric bill. So I went one step farther. I said, how can I holistically save manufacturers even more money and make manufacturers even more money? And I'm a giver. I'm a very authentic person. I believe if I do the right thing, the money will come. And as I was networking, I started to find like-minded people, truly good people like Rich and Matt that care about their clients. Their clients become family and friends. And I formed a consortium of vetted, trusted service partners. And I created this consortium. We're registered with the state. We have a website. We're actually a business, and it's called the Manufacturing Resource Group. And we support manufacturing and industrial companies with a variety of services, marketing, facilities, and manufacturing optimization, healthcare and workers' comp, cost reduction, recruiting and staffing, knowledge management, business insurance, disability insurance, retirement plans, software development, CRM implementation, supply chain, customs for imports, sales, RevOps, business development, productivity software, software-defined electricity, financial planning, tax breaks, leadership coaching, EOS implementation, 5F's warehouse throughput, strategic planning, CMMC compliance, ERP implementation, business intelligence, analytics, and more. I'm not going to go through the whole list. Can you believe that? I mean, that's what we do. And you don't need to hire all of us. You could say, oh my God, I really need help with CMMC compliance. Well, like I told you, I got a guy for you. So I pulled this consortium together so that if I go into a client and I see a need that I can't fill, I go in and see, oh my gosh, your salespeople are technically brilliant and can talk product specifications, but they came up from the shop floor. They're engineers. They don't have any sales training. They don't know how to close and convert. I can't see an ROI on my work if they're not converting deals. I can pull in someone from the consortium and say, hey, I've got someone who can do sales training and coaching. We need to work on this. Or one of my current clients, they plan on selling in 5 years and they had no M&A plan in place. It takes 3 to 5 years to prep a business for sale. I pulled in a guy from my consortium and said, we need to get you ready for sale. So it's just, I kept growing. I kept going from just being this marketer to being so much more and being able to offer so much more and look for so much more. So then the next outgrowth was what you're looking at right now. I teamed up with Matt and Rich and I said, well, it wasn't my idea. It was their brainchild. They pulled me in, but we said, let's create a webinar series about efficiency, about how can we help manufacturers save money, make money, and present topics of interest that are helpful to the industry. And we give a lot of tips and tricks in these webinars that are actual application that you can apply and you can go do something with it. Like now you have tools to save money that you didn't know you had available to you. Then just recently, about, I don't know, maybe 11 weeks ago, 10, 11 weeks ago, I went one step further and I said, okay, a monthly webinar is not enough for me. I want to help manufacturers more frequently. So I created a LinkedIn newsletter that's weekly, and I cover topics to help manufacturers, to help them with not just marketing. You know, I talk about supply chain. I talk about all kinds of things that I'm knowledgeable about. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. If you save a bunch of money that you didn't know you were losing and you free up that capital that you can reinvest into your business, you can hire people who can then help you grow your business, who can give you the training you need, give you the marketing and lead generation and nurturing that you need, help you convert deals, help you keep happy customers and keep them coming back and staying long-term customers. All the things that in this economy, I mean, people can't afford. You know, it's a tight economy right now. And I know manufacturing is tighter. You know, we're scared. People are hurting. And so I wanted to figure out a way to help people grow and move forward, not stagnate, have a growth mindset instead of a contraction mindset without having to allocate huge budgets. Like we can help you free up money that you can be ahead of your competition. And when this economy turns, which it always does, you don't have to play catch up. You don't have to catch up, make up for lost ground. You're there. And people tend to go backwards in economies like this. And in the long term, that will hurt you. So that's really the meat of my presentation. I wanted to, again, thank Rich and Matt for supporting me this month. And here's their contact information. We have QR codes. Here's our logos, the names of our business, so that in case you forget, it's in the presentation. And we also wanted to tell you about our future webinars so that you can keep them on your radar to check back. Number one, in August, Matt's going to present on what makes a business valuable. So again, that M&A and business valuation. A lot of times people think their business is worth more than it is. And Matt wants to talk about how to make it as valuable as you want it to be. In September, Rich is talking about getting a hold on your facility supplies expenses. So he's going to deep dive into a few of the things I touched on today. And then I'll be back in October, and I'm going to talk about how AI is revolutionizing manufacturing. Not just AI on your shop floor, but AI throughout your business. So those are our future topics. Hopefully one of them will interest you enough to come back. I also wanted to let you know a couple slides back when I talked about the Manufacturer's Efficiency webinar series. I put a link to my YouTube channel. Every single webinar we've given, I've loaded there. So if you want to look at past webinars, they are all online there for you to review. And that's the end of my presentation. Short and sweet. I'm a Barracuda. I cover a lot of ground in a short time. And we want to thank you for watching and hope to see you again soon. Rich and Matt, do you have anything you'd like to add to this presentation before we wrap up?
One thing I was thinking of, Gina, and great job, by the way, so much that you've accomplished and you're continuing to grow in. It's really inspiring. But the one thing I did want to mention with regards to when you were discussing your work with the National Utilities Refund, something that I'm sure comes up for you in that aspect of what you do, and I know it comes up with Schooley Mitchell, is you mentioned how manufacturers, of course, will often have CFOs, and those folks do great jobs. But what we do from the cost reduction side of things doesn't necessarily reflect on the quality of work that a CFO is doing, because, as you mentioned earlier, usually they have so many other projects going on that don't allow them the time that it takes to look into some of these vendor costs or negotiate with vendors about prices and rates and billing errors and all the things that you mentioned. But also, I think probably the most important part of it is, since we do this for so many different companies, we know what the market rates actually are, which is something that if you were a CFO of one company, even if you had all the time in the world to just focus on getting better rates from your vendors, you wouldn't have that piece of the puzzle. You wouldn't know what other people are paying. So that, I think, is an important part of what we bring to the table that that you wouldn't be able to access on your own. So just wanted to raise that point.
Thank you so much, Rich. That really added a lot of value, and I'm glad you touched on that. Yeah, it goes back to Lean Six Sigma, time waste. That's why you hire people to help you, because you don't have all the time in the world to do everything you could possibly do. And you need people to help you and support you. And I love that you mentioned about the benchmarking, that we can benchmark the industry, because we see a huge slice of the industry and what's typical. Matt, you have anything you'd like to add?
Just I'll echo what Rich said. Great discussion, Gina. I love the way you tied your story into it. And yeah, you know, somebody with the expertise like Rich, yeah, somebody else who's more of a generalist is not going to be able to have that level of impact, is not going to have that knowledge and that depth. I mean, there are times when bringing in somebody with specific expertise is very much warranted and very much worth the investment, because the payback, just you can't recreate it on your own, in a CFO role or something along those lines, to the extent that somebody with the expertise like Rich or like yourself, Gina, on the Six Sigma side is going to be able to do. So yeah, people think of business owners and decision makers often think about just those types of investments as more of a cost and not as an investment, something that's going to generate significant return. And that's really the mindset they need to have when considering bringing in the right person to tackle a challenge within their business. So great presentation.
Thank you, man. I love that you mentioned that too, because even from a marketing perspective, you may say, oh, Gina's just another marketer. We already have a marketing person, or we work with an agency. You may, but everybody doesn't have the same expertise. So an in-house marketing person has worked with one manufacturer, you. An agency has never worked in-house in manufacturing. They don't really know the industry. They may have manufacturing clients, but they're not manufacturers. I have a manufacturing mindset. I have been in-house with probably 11 manufacturing distribution companies, industrial companies. And then I was with the MEP. I was with the Manufacturing Extension Partnership for 2 years. I had 18 clients there who were all manufacturers. And then I have my manufacturing clients through my own consulting business. So I have been in-house, and I know plant floors, I know milling, drilling, boring, lathing, tolerances, CNCs, EDMs, cobots, robots. I know what a Kanban board is and a Gemba walk. I know what tact time is. Go ask the other marketers what those terms mean. I was welding certified. I know MIG, TIG, ARC, Flash. I have welding equipment. I have a welding shield. I'm kind of an anomaly. I'm sort of a freak of nature. So, look for that expertise. Look for someone who has what other people don't have, that they've got a unique differentiator that can catapult your business, because all businesses are not created equal. All consultants are not created equal. And so sometimes it takes some vetting to find that needle in a haystack. But I vet. That's why the consortium is so important to me. I vetted those people. I vetted Rich and Matt. Like, they vetted me. We would have no hesitation to recommend each other because we know the caliber of people that we are and the work that we do. So it sometimes helps to have a trusted partner that has other trusted partners that they can leverage, because then you're not going out there looking for this person and that person and that person, and then you're getting maybe one good person out of 3. So that's it for today. We hope you join us again in August. Again, the recording of this website, we will share it on LinkedIn. It will be posted on my YouTube channel. And we look forward to seeing you again and working with you. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.